Good afternoon. We'll start welcoming you to our YouTube Live, and our room will start opening in just a minute.
Right.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to start welcoming you to our meeting this morning. We ask you to please maintain.
Okay.
All right, so we got to make our thing. Do you have the questions, or I didn't know?
Well, I'm they're doing the practice questions, so I'm gonna go in there and sort of see how they did and see which ones I want to pull from. If I want to start like super easy, or I'm gonna do some.
For your apple. Actually said this.
So made just a little bit of adjustment there. So everybody should be able to hear me now. Okay, I'm getting a comment in the chart. So thank you all for coming today. We always have some sort of technology snafu. We try to limit that. Let's let everybody in. We got just a few more minutes before we stop the process of letting individuals in. I'd like to make sure everybody gets an opportunity to get here. Okay. If you haven't heard so far, I do mute you occasionally. That's primarily for the benefit of others. I do want you to have the opportunity to ask us questions. You can do those in the chat box, or you can raise your hand, technically speaking. I think some of you look at my videos, so you can see that. But technically speaking, it's a function of Zoom, and you can see that on your panel there. Okay. This is live on YouTube. Know that for your privacy reasons. Meeting chat, this session is open. Just so you know, also for privacy reasons, that we do not ask you questions, but others may. So know that going into that for your own privacy reasons. This is an open session. We're not going to be monitoring the chat box. Some reason you get knocked off, please just pop back on. You should be able to get right back in. It may just take just a second as I'll let you in, but we will let you come straight back in. Okay. Some reason we're knocked off as a whole, you can come right back, and we'll keep this channel open until we finish today. I like to answer everybody's questions as we go along. I pop them into the chat box, and I'll call on everyone occasionally. But if you leave it in the chat box, I will definitely come back to it before we leave today. So welcome to GovSchool. GovSchool is a service of GovDirection. So we've been in this sector since 1998. We like to make sure that our members not only know how to find the bids, which is the primary objective of our RFP delivery website, so that we can really pinpoint for you and help you learn about matches to your bids. But GovSchool takes it just a step further, where we actually come in and try to teach you how to win. We know that we have that educational knowledge that you're going to be more successful and then stay with us a little bit longer period of time. So we offer these classes, and the one today is one I like to have a little fun with. We're going to do a live session where I actually find an RFP for you, and then we're going to write a response to it, or get started at least. And I'm going to try to answer, just kind of show you how I go about doing this, just as a background, why do I do these things. I've been doing this now for 30 plus years. I've won over 350 plus contracts in 35 states. And I got some experience, and I'm going to share that with you in this process. I'm also an adjunct professor at a major university, and I teach future RFP writers, the ones who are writing the documents you respond to, how to do that. And so I take this class and I reverse that, kind of show you what they're looking for in your responses. So I'm here today for you to pick my background and experience, and try to help you any way I can in that process with the primary objective of you winning that contract. Some of you are here to go after the first one. Others are here to kind of help maybe try to improve those skills. And so we do that, try to help you with that process as a whole. As a part of our service, not only do we help educate, but we do have technical assistance in our Gov Advice, which is a micro consulting platform where we come in, we assist you with small projects that you have, instead of bringing maybe somebody in to come in and actually do the work internally, that you can do that in a contracting way. You know, the whole theory of reaching out to others is why governments reach out to you, in fact, and that you're the subject matter expert and you do it well. And it's always better for them to do that, more cost effective than it is for them to potentially do that in-house. So they develop these requests for proposals, or these invitations to bid, or these document requests for qualifications. The one I'm just responding to this morning with one of our clients for you to respond. And our whole theory here in our organization is to teach and to give you an experiential process, because we really live by that proverb, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day, but teach them and you can feed them for a lifetime. And that is our goal, is to teach you. So we have our services that are frankly not designed to keep you in. And, sometimes you feel like you're trapped in some of these programs that you get into, and you're there for years and years and you still never ever get to bid. Our goal is to get you out and winning within 3 months. And so we do that in a very straightforward process, where we come in, we help you develop and organize, and we'll show you how to do that, where we have indicators of success, the items that you're looking for in any kind of bid or proposal that essentially are there for you to know that if I bid on this one, I'm going to have a really good shot at winning. In fact, whenever I go through my indicators, I don't even approach it unless I think I've got about a 35% chance of winning. Those, and I usually do. So if I go after them, then I'm going to be successful. And that over experience and over time, and you get to that point. And we're going to show you some template development and how to go about doing that. I'm going to leave you today with 2 templates that we have that you can then take with you, as well as a pamphlet that I've written about how to read an RFP and what you look for to respond it, and then the slides that we will go through in just a minute. And then, of course, we always do pricing research. Pricing research is so important whenever you first enter the marketplace. When I teach pricing, it's first to say, learn what it takes to really make money in your business and focus in on that first, and then do comparative analysis. What are others bidding? How much do I need to shave off that return in order to really win the project and know where that's at? And oftentimes it's not as much as you think. And another 75%, the 75 rule of mine is I don't really bid on something unless I have a chance of getting about a price return that is about 75th percentile of the group that I'm bidding against. And that's because you balance that out over time. So you learn this as you move forward in government contracting. And then always going to a timely updates where we're meeting with you. And we have different levels of services here, more individualized now. But I've recently launched a cohort service where you can come together. And the first one's actually going to meet this week. You can contact us in our offices at 800-492-8523 to kind of get lodged in there. But it's going to be available in a group setting to reduce the cost. I know everybody's got budget concerns when they first start. And so it's designed more of showing you some of these things, but in a group setting over a couple of month period to really kind of help you out with that. So, but today, here we are now. We'll get started. I'm still getting folks in the room, but I want to get started on the actual presentation. And what we're going to do today is actually talk about how to respond to an RFP. And for lack of a better reason than just to make for simplicity purposes, anytime I use the term RFP today, standardized for request for proposal, I'm referring to any document that the government is using in order to seek your response. Okay, this could be an invitation to bid. It could be request for qualifications, request for information. All of them will have some common elements, but all of them are used for different purposes. And we help you with that and help you understand that in our actual information that we provide to you, and why they actually do use those. So I'm going to kind of use some terminology though, kind of loosely today, just for your own purposes. Okay, but Gov School, once again, welcome, and this is still 2023. We're getting ready to enter into 2024, and I want you winning by 2023. That's been our goal this year. But we got another year right around the corner. I would just share with you this period of time. Well, it's a little bit, they're thinking about, once again, shutting down the federal government. Hopefully they'll get past that, and we try not to get around into the political aspects of things, but it does cause a little bit of hurt sometimes when they're not so functional when they need to be functional. But with that said, this coming period, the next few months, in fact, are going to be some of the largest spending periods in American history. Governments are right in the throes of the Infrastructure Act, and they're actually spending that money now. And it's on the street, these contracts, these proposals. And so you're seeing a huge uptick in opportunity that does exist. And undoubtedly, we will enter into a $7 trillion marketplace with all local, state, and federal government contracting in the coming year. So it's an active time. And if you're a government contractor, it's an exciting time for you. If you're not one, you should definitely be in the government space. There's a lot of money flowing. And it's not just on the big projects, but it's everything that goes along with that, all the subcontracts, subprime contracts, individual quasi contracts where you got nonprofits getting funds who are reaching out to you as a private sector, but all with that ultimate goal of contracting with you because you are a subject matter expert. Here I am, just a quick this bio. I'm one of the founders of GovDirections and have been in this sector for a long period of time. And sometimes more than I care to remember, but I'm an instructor of bids and contracting where I teach this topic. And we currently serve, really about 120,000. I think we're at 122,000 registered members today. So we do appreciate you taking the time to come and see our services, learn a little bit more about us today. But here for this purpose of really going through and helping you with the RFP. I'm going to identify the structure. I'm going to walk you through each section and explain its importance. And then I'm going to actually do some experiential processes where I'm going to take an actual RFP as an example. I'm just going to find one at random. If you want to see a couple of them, you can pop them into the chat box. I'll see if I can address those. I think I'm gonna maybe focus in on the sports industry. My son, I think, is on here doing a class presentation later on today, and I'm going to show you how there's a lot of money in sports spending, and we're going to actually start a response back to a document. Of course, I'm not going to write the entire response today, but I'm going to show you how I go about doing that in order to frame it. And I just know that whenever you're in this area, it's supposed to be hard. If it was easy, everyone would do it. This is one of my favorite quotes. I use it at all of my presentations. It's just that, don't shy away just because it looks a little difficult. I saw somebody said the other day, they look at a 100-page RFP and they're like, oh, it's just too complicated. I was like, wait, no, really 60, 70 pages. But that's going to be boilerplate language. It's not that complicated. And you got to get past that. So I'm going to take the mystery as well out of contracting today as we walk along with it. I spoke briefly about how we use the term RFP, but there are other contracting instruments that are popular by governments to reach out to the private sector with the whole concept, of really kind of the theory of the firm, Ronald Coase's theory of reason why we work together and how we make decisions to determine that. And when we go out and we decide that we're not going to do something just within our organization, but we're going to reach out to other organizations and contract with them because it's more cost effective, because you bring to the table you're a subject matter expertise that makes it more efficient and creates better processes for us to do that. And they'll do that through the more traditional, maybe through requests for information, where they're quickly seeking some information about your company and how you might can give them some answers to objectives they're trying to seek, oftentimes leading straight to contract. We see requests for qualifications where they're looking for specific criteria before they build the RFP, oftentimes, or during that process. So they're looking for a specialized engineer, specialized law, maybe at the beginning of the year, trying to learn about every plumber that's in the area that wants to work with them, or HVAC technician, things like that. But all built around your individual qualifications. Sources sought, where they're trying to determine if there's actually a marketplace. Oftentimes, some of these are really one of the ones I like the most. We're seeing more of a streamlined acquisition process now at the federal government, where you can just type in and tap that you're an interested vendor. I always ask people to go in and do an interested vendors list test just to see if you're set up correctly. A lot of you don't even realize you're not in SAM. If you have some issues with your SAM registration, reach out to us. I just would share with you, it's not a costly process at all. And in fact, it should be free to you to get registered in SAM. A lot of you get caught in the cycle of paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to get yourself properly registered in SAM. It's just not that difficult if you follow the instructions. But reach out to us and we help our members with that. Then they have the invitation to quote. Those are really streamlined acquisition process where they know exactly what they're looking for. You're exactly what they're can provide what they're looking for, and you just give them a quote, either very informally over the phone or maybe something you're faxing back, but very simplified process. Invitation to bid or request for bid, where details are very specific, and usually your price, you just putting in a price point, sometimes per hour, per square foot, per day, something that's something they can do a uniform test to have you compared very in a quick way, but very specific. And then we have my favorite, which is the request for proposal. And you'll say, why, Mark, is that your favorite? I'll tell you that the reason why, because then they really do lean to you to tell them how to do something. They're looking to you because you're the expert and you can help them in that process. They're not in government. They do well what they do. You do well what you do. And this is a marrying of the two together. And they're looking for you to come in and shine. It gives you opportunity to sell yourself. And if you know anything about me, I enjoy that opportunity to talk about how great we are. And that's an important feature. And you got to get used to that also in your own business, because nobody's going to sell you like you sell yourself. And sometimes I'll use the quote by Alexander Haig that talked about your capabilities. And you may have saw earlier about the capability statement. If you don't have one, you need one. And especially specifically if you went after federal contracting, there's a quick video in here on how to illustrate that. But we also have a service now that can help you with that. That I've really took to a rock bottom price for our members now, where you can come in, you can do that for right around 165. I think if you price that nowadays, elsewhere it's close to $1,000, if not more than $1,000. But I've got it set up. One of the things I really like to do here at our organization is make things affordable for our members so that you can come in and compete effectively in this sector. And so we have that there. And if you need that assistance, we would throw it in whenever you do an annualized subscription with us in our membership. The actual request for proposal itself, is defined. And so I like to always call back that definition, because it's important that we understand it really is a solicitation. And when I use that word, it means that they're wanting a response from you. A lot of times I hear from customers and members that, isn't this a fixed deal already? I'm reading this RFP. It sounds like it's been built for somebody who I'm competing against, and I don't want to waste my time if they've already made a decision. And the truth of the matter is, the absolute truth is that it's not. Okay, and I want you to understand that. So they're looking. It's a bidding process. It's competitive. And if you see an RFP, then they went through an elaborate decision process, sometimes years in the making, and taken a lot of people involved, a lot of people in the community. Oftentimes, it's the individuals who come forward with, for example, in sports, if they're thinking about a new park, or maybe a new playground, and maybe a new stadium for the high school football team, it's been brought forward typically by the community. A lot of people, a lot of power brokers, things of this nature, people who are involved in the stakeholders in the decision making, carrying it to that body who works on behalf of the community, the city council, the board of commissioners, or the school board, who are then making that decision and then budgeting for it, and then stepping forward all the way to the point where it finally shows up into your inbox there as an RFP, because they want your response. Okay, it's by this agency or company. Of course, sometimes the prime companies are seeking you to respond, who are actually interested in buying something of yours, your talent, your service, some sort of valuable asset to them. And that's important when you understand that they're putting value on this. That money that they're going to spend is taken away from something else that somebody else in the community maybe wants to do. There's limited processes of funding, so it's important. So they're placing a lot of emphasis on this to you. So as this final part of it is to get you to give them a business proposal, meaning they want you to take it seriously. Okay, and it's going to have to be a cost-effective process, and something that they can then engage with you and work with you. And I always like to point out, whenever you see things in our type, that it's been through that entire process, so you're not wasting your time. And anything you see is going to end up in a win stage on or about the time that we say is the due date. It could take a couple of meeting cycles for these city councils to approve, or county commissioners, so you give them a little time, but it's going to happen. It's very rare that it doesn't. So I like to point that out. And so with that, we're going to always, when we pick up on an RFP, we're going to make sure we focus in on some specific parts of that, the typical parts. This is the statement of work. The first thing I always go to when I'm looking at an RFP, because I need to know what they want, what they're trying to achieve. What's the objective? And it needs to be concise. Initially, you'll hear me talk about the ABCs: accuracy, brevity, clarity. Okay, the ABCs of writing. So it's a burden of the government to tell you exactly what they're seeking. And so additionally, the ABCs are their burden. Okay, so in the statement of work, it needs to be summarized very efficiently so you know what they're looking for. And they're going to do that with a little bit of help. But that first paragraph, if it doesn't actually sing this song to you in the back of your head, you're the one that I wanted to find. You need to start hearing that. As soon as you see it, that's Coldplay, one of my favorite songs. Because if it doesn't say that, then you need to walk away from it. Because if it's not, you're wasting your time. Literally 1.5 million RFPs issued every year. And so you got a lot of them out there. So even more, I think this coming year, probably going to be close to 1.7 million. So there's more opportunity. Just move along. Because if it doesn't say that, then you're not going to win it anyway. It needs to match up to you. Inclusive in that statement of work, you need to start identifying indicators of success, things that you see there, location, where they're at, timeline, things like this that will start speaking to you that this is, if I see this, I'm going to have a higher chance of winning it. Okay. And you're going to start marking those. I was talking to a client this morning and tried to pinpoint, and there was 4 or 5 items that she quickly spoke back about and said, okay, from this point forward, unless we see those in the statement of work, we're not going to move forward on that. And we have a way to scanning through that. Okay. So you need to do the same thing. Identify those. I have about 12 or 14 indicators that I'm always watching for the type of work I do. One of those is, I always kid around, is that it's near a fishing stream. Okay. So it doesn't need to be just pure business. Okay. It could be also, I'm going to have fun when I'm doing this. This is work is life, and it's a part of that. Okay. And so I want to know where I'm going, how I'm working. So you have some of those indicators in there too, because if you are happy at your work, then you're going to be more successful. And I think that's important. Technical specs. They're going to list, the government's going to tell you exactly, and there's their responsibility to tell you what they're asking for. And you got to learn to have a response. And so you're going to start building back answers to these questions that they ask. And as a part of that is there a list of deliverables as tied to those specs? Here's what we want to accomplish, and this is the time frame of how we want that accomplished. How can you do that? And so you're going to start getting back and start defining your methods and deliverables, and how you're going to and how the answers to those questions. And you just start saving those. So you're going to be very common in your industry that you're in, and so you can always go back. You don't need to always constantly reinvent the wheel. And I'm going to show you how to organize that, and then look at the schedule, not only on the part of how you're going to schedule the work, but also how you're going to schedule your response back to them and make sure you can meet that. And so we're sitting here looking at a couple of them. I have one client who's got one this afternoon, and they came last week. Now they had everything prepared, so they're ready to go. And you want to have to be the same way. So if you got a 3-day turnaround, you can do that. You don't need to shy away from a bid because it's got a tight time frame. That's just an indication you're not ready. You're not ready to go, and you got to be ready to go. Okay. And if it takes 3 months to do it, if they got an RFI that kind of sits out there for a while, and that's because they're maybe not quite sure, and they're going to make some change orders to it, or change the documents or addendums. And so you need to also expand that work, because work does expand to fill the time available for its completion. And that's also Parkinson's law, and you should respect that in government contracting. Okay. You look at the contract terms and conditions. These are always your profit centers, so always pay attention to it. And sometimes there'll be 40, 50 pages of an RFP, because they're letting you know this is how we're going to work with you. And you got to be able to accept those, because governments don't change. Excuse me. And so don't expect them to change. Okay. And so you got to live with it. The state's attorney or the city attorney or county attorney, or goodness gracious, at the federal level, you're not going to get those attorneys to make any adjustments. So just know that going into it. And also on the conditions part, it also talks about, the whole concept of forbearance, and how do we forgive, how do we make adjustments if something goes wrong, like, for example, COVID. It went wrong, things went wrong. A lot of us had contracts out there. Or another example is they shut down the government on Friday. What happens when that happens? Government, there needs to be a process to understand that and understand what's going to happen. And then the format of the proposal. Here's where they help you understand the uniformity of government contracting, that they want to be able to compare you against others. You're not to come in with your own proposal format. You've got to adjust to theirs. Okay. So you have them ready to go, and then you can click and paste and always lay it out. I'm going to show you how to do that today. Qualifications and experience. Sell yourself, sell yourself, sell yourself. I know talking to someone this morning and said in a document, said minimum 5 years experience. Well, I said, don't walk away from it. Maybe they won't get a response from others who chose to walk away initially. And so you get in there to be close. It's just like you want to hire somebody with 20 years experience. Of course you do. It's more cost effective oftentimes for you to do that, because they come with it, hit the ground running. But you're bringing in your own background, your own experience levels, and not just your company. So you want to make sure you include that in your analysis, but have answers to questions. And please, please, please don't start off with, I don't have experience, or my company hasn't been around but 3 years, or don't throw out any negatives. Speak to it in a positive way. And everything you do should be back in your proposal response, to be back to them in a proposal, in a very positive process. Cost breakdown. Understand the government's usually going to control that, but have various alternatives for your own ways that you're going to cost. Okay. And start building research. And I can show you some of that research I've done today in pricing. Build that, and almost always when you see an RFP or an invitation to bid, it's not the first time that the government's done that. So that you can go back and do some research. Call us. We have 5 million past records in our document database. We can help you with that. And you could go and you can look quickly and see what local governments specifically have paid in the past, and use that as some basics of the process, or as the base levels. And then evaluation criteria. Why wouldn't you want to know how they're going to evaluate you? And if they are, why wouldn't you listen to them? Go and test yourself, and that's always important. Okay. The first thing I always hear from my students, and it's even past to what's on the syllabus, professionals, it's going to, how do I get an A in your class? And I always reassure them I'm going to give them all A's, but then I'll say, here's the formalized process. Show up to class. And show up to class. That's always important to me. And so here's the percentage breakdown. Pay attention to those evaluation criteria, and you'll do well with that. Always measure your response before you send it back. Okay. So here we go. I've spoke briefly about our RFP writing service. I'm going to show you some of the things that we do. I do believe strongly that the only source of knowledge is experience. And so I'm going to go and I'm going to jump off here and go directly on the web. And so I want to look very quickly, see if there was any questions Hello, everyone. Okay, and I've seen a lot of hellos. I do like that. I apologize earlier on that you didn't hear me. And I'm going to show you some things here quickly. Hopefully, some of you are familiar with Google Drives. If you pop here, I'm going to drop this into the chat box. You'll see here, this is really kind of how I work with our members, but I have one folder here called templates. And in this template box, it's open right now. And if you have this link, then you can go in and download these documents. Let me just open it up real quick and give you the link. Okay. And I have here first a cover template. Okay. And then I have a cover sheet. Okay. And then I have the RFP document that I've written to kind of, it's a pamphlet to help you understand how to read RFP. Then I have our slides today. So there's 4 documents there that you can take away today, and I'm going to use them as we step forward. And you saw quickly that I have in my folder here a sample folder that I use to kind of help you organize your process of working with governments. And I like to show you how I do that before I jump off into an actual RFP. When we do this, I always keep my logo right at hand so that you can have, as an example, keep your logo ready to go there. In a transparent way, you can use that in your cover sheet and other documents, but have someone build you one that doesn't take up a lot of bandwidth or in memory, but it's just there for you that you can use. You can see mine here. It's I use the Eagle. I haven't changed it in 20 years, and so it's there for you. But with a transparent background that I can drop on anything. And then I have a sample capability statement. If you don't have one, you're going to need to have one. You're going to need one specifically when you work with the federal government. There's others who can build those, and you can, if you have an interest, reach out to us, and we can get that done for you at a special rate. This is all the way through the end of the year. That's going to change a little bit. And just know we're building a new capability proposer directory that's going to be available to a couple organizations that contact us looking for members, and you're able to go in there. And so that's going to be the thing, something we're building now. We have hundreds have already submitted their statements, and we're continuing to build that, and it's going to be built up by the end of the year. Here, I always have a Dropbox where I have folks drop things, but our RFP process, when you organize them, I want you to do 2 things. First, I want you to go in and actually organize by components. These are documents that items that you find in every single RFP. You can snapshot this if you like. It's also available now on YouTube Live. But I like for you to have your executive summaries organized so that whenever you respond to any kind of document, you have that ready to go. If it's an RFI, you're talking about the company as a whole. An RFP, you're talking about specific ways that you're going to propose back and how your company is capable and so forth. So you may have different ones, even for different sectors. But some of you, I think, come to me with ideas of doing the sort of the middleman concept, and you have different products that you're working with. And so you want to build those summaries back based on those products. You want to, when you go to government, you want them to understand that you know what you're talking about. Go with an air of confidence, confident in your approach. I always tell my children that. Always be confident in your approach. Don't ever come in doubting or skeptical of what you can accomplish. It doesn't cheat. If you can't do something, then don't go that way. But if you can, then be confident. Your qualifications. How are you qualified? Get it ready to go. Okay. Your methods and deliverables. Answers to questions. You're going to build that over time. But some things you know right away. How are you going to deliver? Where are you going to source that? What's the answer to the questions of the type of work that you're in? Okay. Build those questions. I've been doing this for almost 30 plus years. I'll stop there, but I've got hundreds of questions that have been asked and answered them before. I don't have to redo that all the time. Certifications, keep that up to file, keep those up to date. This could be your certification for your minority business, your woman-owned business, your service disabled. Have that document that's right there at your fingertips, or it could be related to your business itself, and that you're a certified technician in a particular field, and you got that certification from your state. And so that you can use that, and it can be reciprocal in various other states, or even maybe your state business license, things like that. Forms, your W-9 form, your E-Verify form, have that ready to go. You don't want to always have to go and redo that every single time. A lot of times, these are going to be documents that you have to have notarized. Sometimes you can go ahead and notarize them pre-form like that. For example, I saw one yesterday in Texas. It was anti-Israel, and you have that. It's the same thing, and you can keep that and then reissue that and have it there for you in the future. So you have it. You understand what you have to put into these documents. I'm not sharing these files specifically. You can contact us directly. That's a question on the performance. This is just a file structure. So there's no actual files in here. It's just a structured way of organize. And you can join one of our cohorts. This comes with that process of helping you organize. And then performance, this is where I have sample documents I've already done, have potentially I can link back to. So if somebody wants to see my work, see a report that I've done, things of this nature. It also includes items like my references and how I've done work with folks in the past. Believe me, after a few years, at least I've started forgetting who I worked with. And sometimes it's helpful to have that there and have those listed so that you know that. I've now worked on 350 projects, but I bid on thousands of projects. And I need to know when I could go back to those and see that information and know how I did that before. And then also learning from that. And a lot of that's about learning. In the process itself, I organize specifically my RFPs of interest in different ways. And remember, I'm using the term RFP generically, and this could be, for example, an invitation to bid, request for information. I get a lot of RFIs, RFQs, requests for qualifications, and then the RFP itself. I keep my active folder ready to go. This is where I'm working a document, and whenever I start that, I'm gonna name it after the RFP, and then I'm gonna actually go in and put the RFP number in there, and then the due date, so I don't forget that. Okay, when it moves into a submission that I actually submitted it online, I'm gonna keep it there until I've won it. And when it stays there, and I actually don't go into win folder until I sign the contract. Okay, so that's important because a lot of times you'll get narrowed down, and you also will even almost come to an agreement, but you don't. It's not business until you sign the contract. And if it doesn't, then it goes into the no bid folder. Or if I look at a bid and determine that it doesn't meet any of my 75 percentile for my or 75% for my indicators of success, I will put it in my no bid file, so I'm going to learn for that. In fact, I often go in and very quickly I rename this my learning folder. Okay, and because I'm not a defeatist at all, and I don't like to think about defeat. I think about ways to learn and to get better, and that's important that you do the same thing. Because I'm going to share with you one thing, because you're going to make a lot of decisions as you go through, and I hate to be the one to break it to you. I'm not going to win every contract. It's not going to happen. Okay, but when you get there, it's not always because of something you did. In fact, I would say it's very high probability, maybe even as high as 9 out of 10 times, that you don't win something. It has nothing to do what you did. Okay, it has something to do with the humans that are involved in the decision-making process. When humans get involved, it becomes sometimes illogical. That means it's not a logical decision. Okay, emotional factors, social factors, all kind of factors come into play. Professor Coase, the theory of the firm, was asked one time specifically, about humans and how they are involved, and he quipped back in just a funny way. Humans are stupid, and it's the truth. And because we make decisions that are not logical sometimes, and if you would try to do that, but there's all kind of reasons. It could be the hat you have on that day, or it could be the fact that I know somebody's mother, or all kinds of reasons that are not business reasons. And so I don't need to go and change everything I do. In fact, at the last pitch I've made recently, I lost a contract, and I was the best one. I had the best score. I had everything going for us. I had all the right answers, but somebody, the competitor, knew the person on the decision-making board, and they had friends with their wife, and somebody was getting sick and ill, and it just really, the complete heartstring was pulled, and that decision went their way, and it had nothing to do with what I did. And in fact, they almost apologized for not selecting me. It was that bad, but it was but I didn't need to go change anything. I did everything right. So that's going to happen to you too. So I want to make sure you're aware of that. So this is how I organize, and how I would encourage you to try to always do that as well. Keep that folder ready to go. I use Google Drives. There are other ways to do this. You can actually go and one I always plug is Monday.com. I think they have a great service software. You can use it as a way to organize with others and share with others. Google's free, so I use it, and it keeps everything there for me, and I can go and pull it very quickly, and I can link to it occasionally there for others. And so this is how I work with my members. So there we are. And what I want to do very quickly is I want to go in now and actually show you how to actually find an RFP. I'm going to sign in under my account, okay? And I'm going to go out and look for some sports-related equipment, okay? And there, the way I would do that when I log in, as you do, there's different levels of services, but our primary objective and where we really add value is in the local governance space, local and state. And you'll find we identify those here. We also tell you the due date and the location by state to begin with. As you know, we have a geospatial presentation now, really kind of let you pinpoint in, and you can go in, you can see these listings all over, okay? Yeah. I am getting some questions, so I'll come back and see that. Go there, okay? So we will go in there, and you can drill in. You can see we're in 74 countries now, but you can pinpoint the opportunities. You can do that through your industry. They can drop down here, and then you can pull through those and take a look at those, okay? And as we go in there in that map, and I'll just show you, so you can do that. And it's important that you learn that process of really pinpointing and see those. And we got military bases all across the country. But if I go in and I do my general search, I'm gonna go back to my home. Always get there by clicking home or the human icon, or you can do our logo. This is going to always show us our dashboard here. My settings is where I'm going to drive my details that I'm looking for. Just as a quick reminder, I choose my categories, choose my locations, my daily alert, previous 24-hour period, time limiting. We're not going to see the same bids every single day. Sometimes I get a comment, my competitor, somebody sent me 27 active bids. Well, they also sent the same 27 day before. Okay, so it's not new bids. And so we only focus on the new ones. If you want to take a look at all the bids, you log in, you can see those. We'll show you all the active, because we have a lot of bids flowing through a system, about 5,000 a day on average. So that they are your filters. You can store them, come back to them and pull them at any given time. You can save elaborate keyword searches that allow you to go in and pinpoint important parts of this. You can save your bids or capturing them. I'll show you how that works. They're in your folder there, so you can always pull them up and quickly go and learn and see our YouTube. If you're not there right now, you can go there for Gov Directions, and then of course our micro consulting platform. But in your dashboard, when you come through, you can very quickly come here and you can actually sort by particular features. I really don't use that when I first start, but I can come in and I can do my filters, and I can go through, for example, maybe I'm looking at equipment, sports. I think I talked about here. Let me see if I can find something today. Equipment, athletic areas, okay? And then I'm going to leave it for all the states, but if I wanted to limit myself, I could. If I wanted to go out and look at a set aside, doing set asides are primarily at the federal level, you have to have one of these designations in order to bid on that. It becomes very limiting. As you add a filter, just know we're not like a Google. So you want to really start limiting yourself into specific items. If you want to look at a specific NAICS code is primarily only at the federal government level. Local and state governments don't really use that. They use other coding systems. It's a hodgepodge of coding systems. The most common is the NIGB Commodity Code or the United Nations standardization codes, but states themselves all have those, but all really before the advent of keyword. So I can come in and actually add the word like keyboard, okay? Like baseball, equipment, athletic. So let's go and look at some baseball. Search, go through, and then it's going to show me those results that have the word baseball in general. Okay, and so as I go through this 12 particular matchups, so here's one in South Carolina for baseball officials. Maybe I'll go in there and look at that, or a baseball field refurbishment. Okay, take a look at it. It's a state and local. It's due on or about November 21st. Maybe I want to make sure my partner is on board on this one. I can share it in the various social mechanisms, send them the link to it, and just type that, email it so they know. But I'm gonna pop into here, take a look at it, and see what's available. When I do that, I'm gonna learn that it's for the University of South Carolina upstate. Okay, this is the state that's in. Let me let some other folks in this room. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, and I've got the number here, generic. A lot of times you'll find the agency contacts. I want generic in these smaller and medium-sized offices. They just want you to call straight in. It's not going to be like a federal agency where there's going to be multiple levels. And so there might be somebody specific that you talk with. So no, that's the case. This is due on November 21st. I want to go in. I'm going to maybe download it and share it so I can download it on my desktop. But I'm definitely going to save it, or what's referred to in this industry as capturing it. Okay, and knowing that your captured bids are always here. See it on the map where it's at. Seek some help if I need some. Maybe I can help somebody. Somebody help me write this RFP. Okay, go in there, external link, go to it, and let's take a look at it. In this particular case here, it's not so helpful because I'm gonna have to register to get it. Now, I choose this one on purpose because I want to show you that occasionally you'll run across systems that you have to register. At this point, you're with the government itself, and they want to know that you have access, that you are downloading this so they can send you updates. But they do control that at this point. This would not be the username and password that we have in our system. So you'll have to set this up just with the University of South Carolina. Now, you don't want to go and register with all of these governments or all of these third-party systems. There's about 40 that are out there, and until you have to. Okay. And when you do that, every one of them's going to have a free way to do that. And so, and you will see that overall, this is probably about, I'd say about 6,000 agencies out of 140,000 that are using systems like that, but they're all free. And so you register only when you need to that. And don't be sort of what I call sometimes being bidwinked, where you think you got to do this, you got to pay them some money. Sometimes even, I know this one in particular just really irritates me because they go in there and they slide over the thing where you actually have to pay, and when you can actually slide it back and you don't have to pay them anymore, get the same information, and just they're kind of fooling you into actually sending them some money. Okay, here we go. Here's a baseball charter for transportation, baseball field. Let me go out in Texas. Texas usually have more open-ended systems. Let's see here. This is actually for the state of Texas. I go in and I'll see that it's for a baseball charter. And then I go in, here's the external link. Take a look at this bid. And here I am, the state of the Texas. They make it so easy for you to download. And I'm going to go in there and I'm going to download that bid. It does download here on a PDF. And when I open that, what I'm going to do is make sure, in fact, I'm actually going to make sure I've got all three of these. I'm going to show you how to actually take that into your individual Google Drive. Okay. And I've got my sample folder here. Okay. And I'm going to start that process because I'm going to respond to this one. I'm going to have an RFP of interest. I'm going to go in here under the active folder. And then I'm going to add myself a new folder, and I'm going to call it Google, let's see, Google new folder. Okay, I'm going to call it Texas. Let me just take a look at that. I might have to come back and rename it. Okay, so open it up, and I'm going to drag in so we could share it together here today. And at this point, it becomes shareable. And I'll learn this process from my graduate students. Now I can actually go and see their work as they're working on it. It makes it a lot easier. You can always see these things together and make some comments and adjustments so they don't get too far along and make errors. Here's the document. Okay. And this is going to be a charter for the University of Houston, it looks like, Victoria. Okay. So it's, I've got a bid number here. Maybe I'm going to copy that. And so my title is going to be due November 29th. And so here I'm going to change my title just so that, why I'm going to do this? So I don't forget, because that's the number that I'm running against. I got a lot of things pulling me in different ways all during the day. And sometimes I forget. I don't want to forget. Okay. And then when I look at it very quickly, it's going to tell me that. Sometimes you might even want to put something on your calendar and make sure you're aware of that individual bid. So we're going to open this one up again, and then I'm open it up on my PDF. So I have it ready here. It's easy enough, all free software that you can log into and use. Just making everything just right there for you. And so I encourage you to take advantage of that, specifically when you're on limited budgets. And you can move forward with other types of systems as you get money. But as we open this up, this is going to be a bid and invitation. But see how they're actually using terminology like request for proposal and bid number in the process. And so it's important that we sometimes universally they use interchange the language. And it's not so official. Just know that going into it. But they're going to have this is more or less a bid sheet, and you can let them know that you're interested in bidding. Then I'm going to open up, and first thing I'm going to go to, like I said earlier, before I get too far along, and probably before I even created this actual document, I came in and I said, I'm going to look at the scope of work. And so here it is. They're looking for somebody to charter bus transport for baseball teams for the 2024 season. That's a long process, a lot of baseball games. So it's a pretty nice contract. And they're going to have one primary, maybe one or two secondary. So I'm going to have a shot at three. If they're looking at three of them, then if they got, 10, that's 30% chance right away. I'm going to get the bid. So these are kind of things you might want to use as your indicators of success. And you kind of determine if you'll go along with it. So what I usually do is at this point is I go into my document here and I start a document I'll call response. Okay. Google Doc, create and share. Okay. And I'm going to call it response. And I'm going to drop in my number there that I had earlier. Okay. And then I'm going to start here and I'm going to have my cover letter. Okay. And I'm going to have my cover sheet. Okay. And then, if you're organized and you got something already, you can go back to that folder here. Let me just see here if I got it already. Templates here. There we go. Go in, get my cover letter. I'm gonna have my own information in here in the future, so I got everything ready to go. So why not just copy that? Okay. go back over to the actual response, drop it in. Okay, got my cover sheet done basically. Going to get my cover sheet next. I'm going to give myself a break here with a section break. I'll make it easy so I don't have to reorganize it later. Go in, close that template. Let's see here. Open my other template. Keep everything organized because you know what happens? You don't have organization, you got chaos. And you don't want chaos, especially when you go into bid and you got just a few hours to get something done or a few days. You want to be organized. Okay. So get that organization done. It's important. Go into my response, drop in my template. Okay. And then I'm going to go back here. I'm once again do my break, make myself a section break. Okay. Go in and then type in proposal. And I'm going to go in and to the left here, I'll put table of contents. Okay. I'm going to do this I don't care if it's just a small bid, I'm going to make it professional because you know why? That government has went through a lot of trouble to get my attention. And so I'm going to go through a little trouble to give them a good proposal. And I'm just going to be professional. I'm going to treat them with respect. Okay. So I'm going to give them a table of contents. I'm going to give them, unless they tell me not to do it. Okay. They thought through this too. So if they tell you not to do it, then don't do it. Of course. Okay. And then I'm going to insert my table of contents. And this is going to help me along the way, because Google does this pretty well. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to go in and they've got it set up for me, so I don't have to worry about it. But I'm going to go in and I'm going to have my logo. You remember I had the logo there. I'm going to put that logo in there. So forth. I'm going to go back to that. Let me go back here. Keep doing this live for you. Okay. Here we go. Here's my file. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just take my scope. I'm going to copy my scope, okay? Because it's going to help me. It's going to frame my state of mind of what I'm going to write about, okay? Okay, and so I'm going to always remember that, okay? And go back in. I'm going to take out the requirements. I'm going to read through these and what they're looking for, okay? And some of these things I'm going to pick up on. And, these are once again going to be those indicators that I'm watching for, okay? Indicators of success that if I've got a 55 passenger bus, then surely that's going to be one of those, okay? That bus can't be more than 5 years old though, okay? And know that. So if it's not, and this is one of those things I'm not going to stretch on. The government's telling me specifically in the very first requirement, so I'm going to have to meet those kind of things, okay? But it's also important to them. So that part there, since it's so important, that number one, I'm going to probably use that and maybe even in my cover, okay? I'm going to speak specifically to that. We have it ready to go. Okay. And I'm going to build that comment in this first paragraph here. I'm going to use that in a way that to really reinstate what they're looking for. The very first part, I'm going to tell them what I'm doing. Okay. How I'm responding to it. Not only that, but I'm also going to tell them that I'm qualified or capable. Okay. Oftentimes I'm going to say, and my capabilities attached. Okay. My capability statement. And you'll show that. So I'm going to have to read through that first. And then in the last paragraph, because we're going to only have 3 paragraphs. In the last paragraph, I'm going to say, I've read everything and I certify that it's accurate and complete. And then they could contact me if they have any questions. Sometimes they're going to want you to make some specific statements. Then you need to put that in your third line, in the third paragraph as well. Okay. That you meet something or something that you've done something. Okay. And so they're looking at some other only in 1 year in collegiate, departure times, details like this. Okay. Unscheduled trips. They're going to tell me some examples. Pricing. So the round trip pricing, I'm going to go ahead and read that. That's good. Simple, simple, simple. Okay. What happens if you cancel contract? I'm going to read through this. Insurance, the successful vendor. Watch for those key words because all of a sudden they just imply that I don't have to have the insurance up front, that only if I get the contract do I have to have it. So I'm not going to go out there and invest in any insurance if I don't have to. Okay. And so that's there for you. 1 second here. Okay, sorry about that. It's a live situation, get interrupted sometimes. There we go. And then the requirements. Vendor is instructed to sign and complete invitation to bid, company safety record report, contractor's bid form. Okay, so I'm actually going to go ahead and just type that because those are requirements that I don't want to miss. Okay, and I'm going to put that into my right below this other scope. Okay, so I know what I've got to do. Okay, I'm going to keep that there working until I get finished. And as I get close to being finished, I'm going to drop that out. Okay. There's a pre-bid. You can actually go to an opening of the bid. Hey, if you've never been to one of these, I always require my class to do that. Notice the other thing. Here's your schedule. I told you, watch for your schedule. There's going to be give you a chance to ask any questions. And if you have questions, you want to ask them. I'm not of the opinion all the time you need to ask questions. Sometimes it's better to see what others are asking. You got to have the bid. Don't forget, this is 2 p.m. Texas time, not 2 p.m. Atlanta time. After we'll finish in about 10 more minutes, I'm going to get a whole group of other people who try to log on thinking it's 11 o'clock their time. It's not. It's 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock. This class here was 11 o'clock Eastern time. Okay. No time zone. That's important. You'd be shocked at how many people miss because of that. The vendor criteria, here's how they're going to select the award. So for goodness sake, I want to know how they're doing that. Okay. Respond to qualifications, 10%. Okay. That you have experience. The value on this one is 50%. That's pretty high, in fact. Okay, but 50% is other value, so it's not a low price purely. That you can actually understand, you can actually do the work, and that you can meet the requirements is 50% too. So it's not just going to be low cost. Okay, contract cost though is pretty high on this one. Most times I see it probably in the 20 to 30% range. Okay, so that's important that you understand that it's not always low cost. Governments are not there to force you to lose money. That's not a way they do business. They want you to be successful because, always tell this too. Number one thing the contracting officer wants to do whenever they go before a board or somebody other decision making is they don't want to go up there and say, look at here, I forced this company to cut a rate all the way down to the bottom and I'm saving 10, 15, 20% off their competitors. And then have to go back to them and say, yeah, you know what, I made a mistake. That guy cut his price so long he wasn't able to do a good job. No, they would much rather go back in and go back and ask for a higher price later on for someone it's good and say that they made the right choice as a whole. And so that's important. So understand that. So it's not all about price. It's also about they don't want to be embarrassed when they make a recommendation. Okay. They want to keep their recommendation. In this case here, you got a bid form. It's just across the way, something simple. You're making sure you fill out all the details. Okay. You got the round trip price. They give them the list and some items like that. Okay. And so your qualifications, we will be able to provide on short notice, things like this, your questions. And here's where you get your actual RFP response. Okay. So what I'm going to do is start putting these questions here. Okay. And my proposal. Now I'm going to be able to answer those questions. Oftentimes it's not really, you're not going to be able to answer them in this. They don't expect you to at some of these questions. I'll tell you that along the way. Okay. Here's your references. So my proposal, I'm going to start building up back to them. Let's see, go back in here. Okay, in here, they're going to give me the terms and conditions. Here's my contract. This is my profit center. Okay. How are you going to respond to them? They want you to do it on this form. So you're going to have to get your answers there. Okay. Your bids in a separate envelope. Okay. How you going to price, how you going to quote. You're going to award. Give you the detailed specs. Delivery. Okay. All the details here. Okay. Insurance requirements, your general requirements. If you have the insurance, then you're going to go ahead and get that prepared. But if you don't, then you're going to wait because they're saying successful bidder. And that's my actual RFP. Okay. So in this case here, they've told me now that they want me to fill out this answer on this form here. Okay. So I've got to do that. So my goal today of trying to use this as a way to show you, I'm going to go ahead and continue that. But in this particular case here, they've made it clear, and I'm doing this as a live setting, but in this particular case, they want you to put the same information on that form. Now, I'm probably going to go ahead and do this exercise because I'm definitely going to have a cover letter and let's say cover letter, maybe not the actual cover document since they gave me that form. But oftentimes they want to ask for both. They will allow you to submit both. In this case here, they didn't restrict me, so I still may want to do it in order to impress them, but we'll see that. But here, you go in and put the title of the section, okay? Or it might be ability to accommodate flexible departure schedule. So that could be factors impacting schedule. Okay, give myself a setting, okay? And I might want to just put here general qualifications, okay? Just an opening executive summary, okay? Something that I'm going to use that to kind of give them opening paragraph or two about my company, okay? And then I'm going to go in And oftentimes what I'll do is I'll actually put their questions in italic so I know, and I keep it there. Okay. And then I give the answer right after that. Okay. And then what I'm going to do in my Google Drive a document, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to give it a heading, usually heading 3 here. Okay. And then I'll also do let's say summary. This will be 3. And then if I have subheadings, it'll be 4, and I'll step it out as necessary. Okay. And here I might have my contingency plans. Okay. And so one of that might be mechanical failure. Maybe I'll do weather delay. Something like that. Okay. And so here I might do contingent plans. I'll do 3. And then here I'll do 4. Okay. And get my answers, usually short quips, okay, within a paragraph or 2. Okay. And what I like to do is I'm going along and building my response. Go back to escape here. Okay. Is go back in and just do this little quick turn here. And it gives me my table contents. And it shows me, it gives me some confidence. I'm going around and I'm learning. Right? I'm doing things quickly and understanding. My footer, I'm going to always go in, add a footer, and the footer is going to be the actual RFP number. Okay. And I think I talked about that here, but I'll just put my RFP number and name. Okay. And then I'm going to put page number, options, page number. Okay. Keep it organized. Start at 1, section 3. Apply. Make this to my right. You know, these are just basic things that you want to do. If you need help writing, there's tools in here to allow you to write and to write a little bit better. But this allows me to keep it organized. Come back in, and then I've got my I'm going to go do my page numbering again because I reset it. Okay, and it comes back in. Always make sure the last thing you do is to reset your table of contents. Okay, so that's where we are. We're at an hour now, and I've showed you how I laid it out. I gave you a sample of a proposal response, and then the actual cover letter. And now you want to watch these forms. You're going to fill those forms in as necessary. And so it's a very simple process, nothing complicated. Don't make it overly complex. Okay. And so let me just go back and see some answers to some questions here. Okay. And once again, thank you all for coming. I am going to stop the live YouTube session at this point, and so I can answer these questions as needed there. Okay, just 1 second. Those on YouTube Live, thank you for coming today. Reach out to us at 800-492-8523 if you have any questions. Okay. Okay, I thought I was going to do that. They seem to have changed that. Maybe it's whenever I log out. Okay, so they're still out there. So we'll answer the questions here. So we got past the hearing issue going down. A lot of folks introduce themselves to each other. Anyone else hate it when a contracting officer publishes a bid and then goes on vacation for 2 weeks? Listen, you know what? It's hard to get a contracting officer to respond to you specifically at the federal level. I'm not negative on them at all. There's a lot of individuals trying to reach them. So always make sure you follow the Q&A part. They also are very limited on how they can contact you. They're sort of in a call of silence. It gets looser as you get in the smaller government. And so just know that it's not always that being disrespectful to you, but you really probably shouldn't be contacting them. When they first come out with a bid, they try to, sometimes they frown upon that. It's exceptions to the rule there. Someone called me to let me know they did get in touch with me about hearing, so you should all be there. You should be able to hear me on this. Okay. There we go. Hello. Okay. Somebody's looking for power washing. There's a lot of power washing bids. Come up, call us. We can get you set up there. Okay. I saw somebody, see expected sunshine. Somebody talked about their company. Anytime you're in a room like this, drop in your capability statement. Take the opportunity. Also, just as a pointer, always make sure you have a professional name and first name, last name, name of company. Okay, in the room like this, it's something you should start in practice when you're in a pre-bid meeting, pre-proposal meeting, and so that they know that and you reinforce that. But always drop in your capabilities. It helps the governments. They have that there. Are you sharing those files? Only the files that I showed there in the Dropbox are available. If you have questions, you can give us a call. The thing about illegal about making decisions, I don't know how you can be too restrictive on that. You know, they're supposed to do things out in the open, but I'm just telling you how it works. And you certainly can't prove it, like someone said. So it's easier to find a contract for the state of or the government. Well, listen, it's easier to start with local and state governments, cities and counties and schools, hospitals. Those are more low-hanging fruit, and you got to get started somewhere. The federal government really does like that past performance. So I encourage you, if you haven't got a contract yet, start with a local and state government. And they're also much easier to deal with. They're usually shorter contracts. They're more profitable. And so they're there for you. And I just can't echo that. I have really been working in this space for 30 plus years. I've never worked on a federal contract. I worked on contracts funded by the federal government, and we're registered in SAM and so forth. But my primary business has been state governments, with FEMA money, for example, or with local governments around. Okay. And you'll find that to be a very nicely rewarding area, a sector. Is this RFP delivery same as SAM.gov? No, we're not. SAM is just one level of government. It doesn't include all the bids that are out there and proposals. In fact, it only doesn't even include half of them. And once you take out the defense area, it includes a very, very small part. There's probably 20 local and state government contracts for every one federal. I think we ran one statistic one time. So SAM is just the federal government. State of Georgia is just the state of Georgia. The local governments are cities and counties and schools. They have their own sites. Some of them use third-party portals. It's a fragmented system. It's not broken. We designed it this way. We want our governments to make their own decisions. We don't want the federal government and all of its dysfunction making the decisions we have at a local level. And they don't want that, okay? They want money from them sometimes, but they don't want them deciding how to spend that money. So that's important to understand that process. And that level of fragmentation is complicated for most businesses. We offer a solution to that. Somebody else jumped off already. You're always welcome to come back and come back in here again. Can you confirm the price of the cohort option? We're doing that at a rate of, it's $119 per month there, but you call Dell, we can see what we can work with you. And that's there with the same process as an individual sessions, but the individual sessions, we really do focus on you. And within every cohort model, we want to allow you to have one individualized session that we can come in and answer specific questions related to your company. Now, there's going to be some common processes that you need to go through. We want to work with you on that and meet together and you build on others. Our pricing for our 4-hour technical assistance that's individualized is $250 per month to start. It's $500 for up to 12 hours. And that's for clients who are really looking for active RFP writing assistance. And then we have some that are at our 20-hour level, which is $1,200 a month. Okay. And so that's more detail somebody really assigned to your account. By far, the most popular option is that $250, all designed, that one specifically designed to get you out of that process within 3 months. So you're not there forever. It's there, and there's no contracts related to it either. So if you are a quick learner and your business doesn't require that extra second or third month, then you're winning by the end of the first month, then you can just leave at that point. So there's no hard feelings with any of that process. Okay. Do you see more freight transportation services needed by state and local? Or in fact, I do. And I have clients at both levels who focus primarily on the federal or focus primarily in any sector. So federal, you see transportation a lot of times with CDC, maybe with the defense. One of the problems with the federal government is the Defense Department has a large centralized contract, and they in fact have one out now. They have one for the defense freight transportation, but the one that's out now, ports, PORTS, is for the basically organizing the logistics around ports. So they issue very large primes, and then you have to sub within those. So it's not as competitive as you want to see. Now, there's also some one-offs occasionally that you see, but most local governments, state governments, there's just so many more of them, and it's not a centralized process, so you just see more. Okay, if that's once a word, I'm not sure that what Jessica was referring to there. So next gen dropped in their capability statement. I'm going to download that because I like to always see those. If you have a capability statement, send them to me. Oh, I want to show you one thing before you do leave. So if you have an account with us, in your account, go here at your there, and you can see at your, if you're not in a highlighted link there where your name, just have your name there, because if you click on that, this is where we have your capability statement now. And it's going to, once you have that uploaded, we're going to draw to that from our capability directory. It's coming in the new year, so it's a cover of it. But if you go in and if you want to upload, go to RFP delivery from the front page. Okay, we're building a specific link for you right now, but I've already had hundreds do this on their own. So go here, and then on the second or third, it's the third one. Oh, first, make sure you download the app. The app takes away the concept of time, and it's going to be used on your iPhone or your Android or your iPad, and shows you instant matches. Okay, and all of that shows you what you looked at first. Go here, learn more, if you're logged in, this will appear. Okay. If you don't have one, you can ask us to help you with one. But if you log in, you can upload your capability statement here. Okay. Only the requirement we have is there is a limited amount of space. We like to see 1-page capability statements. That's what the government likes to see. I know sometimes folks fall into putting 2 or 3 pages, and those companies can sell you on that. But the government likes to see 1 page. Okay, and they want specific parts to that. You can learn more about it. I've got a video on how to do that. Okay, so you can upload those and add them. It's completely free to be in this up till the end of the year. At that point in time, it changes. Okay. Talk about middleman concept. Okay. There's a lot of YouTube videos. Specific markets can help you in that. Do that, but I'm skeptical sometimes about that. I just shoot straight with you. It's difficult. You got to be a good sourcer and make sure, and that's sort of sorcerer. In the fact that might help too. That where to source equipment from. The governments do need you sometimes to do that, and so that's where that primary marketplace is at. But if you have a skill set and that you're working, that you're going directly with the government's by far the best. Dr. Cynthia Borrell just dropped in her capability statement. So thank you there. So that's it. That's all the questions I have too. It's 12:10, 12:08. I do appreciate you coming today. This is now live on YouTube as soon as we stop. And so you can go there and view that. And if you have any questions, always you can contact us. You can reach out to us. It's 800-492-8523. Okay, it's right here. Or email us here. Okay, and you'll find a receptive audience to try to help you out with questions. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Told you this big group coming in 11 and 9. They got the hours mixed up. So, thank you all. Okay. For those just now coming into the room, this is available on YouTube Live. You just go to YouTube Live. Here you can go into your account at RFP Delivery. Click on @GovDirections. This is a YouTube symbol. It'll pop up. Our first video is our favorite video about how to read one, but the YouTube Live shows up. It's right there. And I'm start getting echo now, but you can watch it. It'll be there in just a few minutes. Okay. Have a great day. Thank you.